And we are live. Welcome to Tuesday with Tanya. Live is great to be with you. And as you guys see, I have a guest on with us today that I'm really excited for because if you tried to tune in last week, you knew that we had some tech gremlins that ate us up. But today they did not hold us down. So it's great to be with you guys. If you are joining in live, drop me a comment below and let me know where you're viewing in from. Let me know what business you have. What type of business do you have? What are the types of products and services that you sell? We always like to throw some examples out based on the type of entrepreneurs and business owners that we have on the call. So if we know what you do, that helps us to give you an example that's related specifically to your business. And so I'm excited today to talk about the topic, the unsexy, but I promise we will make it sexy, unsexy topic of taxes and benefits and deductions and record keeping and bookkeeping. As a business owner, you guys, this is one of the most important things, I believe, the important things that we need to learn how to take a handle on and take control of in our lives. I have learned over the years of being in business and just in life, out of my 41 years on this earth, that the one thing that people need to take control of and put in their own hands, because nobody else is going to care more about your health and your finances more than you. And if you don't care about them, unfortunately, we're not going to be headed in the right direction with them. Unfortunately, we don't learn about wealth, money, businesses, taxes, all the advantages that are available to us in school. This is one of the things that I wish that we learned in school, but unfortunately we don't. So what do we have to do? We have to seek out help. We got to ask the right questions. We got to be talking to the right professionals, and we have to take this stuff into our own hands. And so today, my guest with us is now a good friend. We met online, by the way, and I started to ask about her business and what she did. But my guest today, Linda, is going to help me talk to you guys and educate you on what types of things we need to be doing, or at least be aware of, or even questions. Like, I've got some questions for you, Linda, that I'm going to grill you on that I wish I would have known when I was first getting started in business, that would have saved me. And this is how we're going to make it sexy. Okay. Would have saved me a ton of money, put a lot of the money that I was already working so hard for, like, keep it back in my pocket. If you guys are excited about keeping more money in your pocket legally, legitimately, these are all available to you. Like, type a fire emoji in the comment section below, or drop your favorite emoji, because number one, you're already working hard to get that income, that revenue generated in your business. It's very important. The next thing is to learn how to keep it. Learn how to keep it working for you in your business. That is really, really important. And back in the day, when I first started my business, when I had my little laptop and my $5,000 a month goal in my business, I was like, I need to learn this, but I don't even know where to go. Like, they don't teach you this in school. And so over so many years in business, because we grew the brand, Linda, to like a multiple 7-figure brand, you could just imagine not knowing the basics of record keeping, taxes, and things to ask and things to be aware of, how much money we had to pay out in those tax bills, until one day I was like writing the check. I swear my check was losing, or my pen was losing ink, right, as I'm writing this thing. And I was like, there's got to be a better freaking way. Like, what the heck? And that was the moment. This was about 5 years ago now. That was the moment where I was like, I need to ask better questions. I need to seek out professional help. I need to figure out what is available to me, because this is absolute madness. If I could invest this money that I'm paying out to the government, which we have to pay taxes, I get it. And we need things, I understand. But how much is going out? If I could have had that back in my business to reinvest it back into my business, we could explode the economy in so many better different ways. So I went on a mission 5 years ago, invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, you guys. I had a team of people. Over $100,000 a year I'd spend to have these team of people make sure that we're optimized. And I'm like, the average person cannot do this? Like, how do we bring it forth to the average person? So anyways, I met Linda, you guys, and I started to talk with Linda, and she came to me because she was learning marketing, right, for your business. And I teach marketing to business owners and stuff. And I was like, tell me about your business. What do you do? And immediately when she told me that she helps entrepreneurs and network marketers and small business owners optimize books, record keeping, taxes. She's a licensed CPA. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what entrepreneurs and business owners need. And what I wish I would have had when I got started. I said, can I bring you out on the show? Can I put you on my podium? Can I sing you from the rooftops? Can you help my community with me? Because I can't talk about taxes and stuff because I'm not a licensed professional. I have to be very careful with that, you guys. So I have to bring you the professionals. So I have Linda here today, and we're going to be talking about things that you need to know, the basics that you need to know as a small business owner, entrepreneur, the questions that you need to ask. And I also have some juicy questions that I want to ask you, Linda, if you don't mind. So with all that said, it's great to meet you guys. If we're meeting each other for the very first time, my name is Tanya Aliza. I help you grow your brand, grow your business, and increase your influence so you can make more sales online using social media. I've been doing all the things that I teach in my business. I come out and teach and share a topic with you guys each week in hopes to help you or bring out really cool guests to help you as well. And if you know of anybody else that would love this topic, they want to save some money or be more efficient with their taxes, smash the share button, get this out to them. I promise they will thank you for sharing this with them. Linda, how
Yeah.
the heck did you get into all of this with like specifically helping entrepreneurs, business owners, network marketers with tax stuff? Tell me a little bit about how this all started for you.
Okay. Before I do that, Tanya, I just have to say thank you. Thank you. As she mentioned, I have, excuse me, been in the accounting world for a long time. Marketing's a whole new thing, and I have just latched onto everything that you train on and the step-by-step, probably because I am an accountant. I just love the way you train. And so thank you.
Thank you.
And if you check out my website, you'll notice that it looks very familiar to how Tanya trains, because I went through the Ultimate Branding Blueprint course
Oh,
to build
I
that.
love it. Thank you so
So,
much for sharing that. I
yeah.
appreciate.
But it's been an interesting journey. All growing up, I never thought I wanted to do accounting. My dad was a CPA actually and owned a firm, and my mom was a teacher, and I always thought I wanted to be a teacher. But came to school, my first year at college, I took an accounting class, and it just clicked. And I guess everybody says, "Oh, you must be really good at numbers." I'm like, "Yeah, I can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. That's what I do." But just was something that clicked, and I found that it was a field that allowed me to both be mom and have a career. And so that was pretty much the driving force behind it. Ironically, in school, I actually did not take a whole lot of tax classes because my emphasis was audit. That's what I graduated in. And I did that working for a firm for a couple of years. But I worked for a small enough firm that they kind of threw me into everything. And so I learned taxes along the way. I don't want to make this too long, but the short of it is that after I had my second child, I wanted to work from home. And so I just really, I had that foundation from working at the firm, but I just realized that was my passion. Like I wanted to work from home. And so that's the direction I went, is helping small business owners that were growing a business. And it's evolved over the years. I have 4 children, and when they were all little, it was harder to do accounting. And so that's when I found network marketing actually. And it allowed me to still have that adult interaction and grow a business. And so that's, I guess, where my heart is. I grew as a person, loved just the positivity and so many things that came from it. And so that's, I guess, kind of where my heart has been. And that's how this has evolved. And that's what I've specialized in, is helping a lot of network marketers, and particularly, small business owners.
I
So,
love it. And so the value here that I saw immediately, Linda, and this is why I want to bring you out, is because you're walking the walk. So you are an entrepreneur, business owner, and you are in network marketing as well. You have a network marketing arm, right? So you understand the profession, you understand. And so obviously knowing tax, you were like, okay, I want to take all of the benefits that are allowable to me. So I'm going to learn what they are to help my situation. But now you really know them so you can help other people's situation. And I love that. And that was the congruency, because there's different, specialties that you can have, right? And
Right.
so you have a specialty of exactly that, which is exactly what the majority of my community is, what my audience is, and what we are as well. So I absolutely love that. And then you're also in Utah, right? You live in
Yeah.
Utah, which is
Mhm.
something, I don't know, a lot of people know this, but Ricky and I, we've been kind of like toying around with like what our next adventure might be, where we like grab another property, and we're thinking Utah. We're not sure yet, but we love it there. We love all the hiking and the outdoor stuff. It's amazing.
Great place
Um,
for outdoors. Yes.
okay, so somebody is in network marketing, they're an entrepreneur, they have a home business. So basically, what are the things that you see right off the bat that you want entrepreneurs and business owners to make sure that they're aware of tracking as far as some of the deductions that are available to them?
So the first thing I found in my years of, having team members and being involved in this is that so many people start network marketing or even other businesses. They have a hobby, something they enjoy, but they don't treat it like a business. And so that's kind of been my mission is, oh my gosh, the tax code is huge, but in 2018, it really changed where if you're working from home and a W-2 employee only, there are not a lot of options right now, currently, the way the tax law sits. But those of you who are on here, I just want to say congratulations, because you've taken the very first step to saving money, because having a home-based business opens the doors to be able to legitimately, ethically, everything, like the tax code is written in favor of small business owners. And so that's kind of my mission, is help entrepreneurs understand that um, so many things like what I like to call them is you're converting your personal expenses into business expenses. They're things that you're likely already spending. You're driving your car, you're using your cell phone, you're using internet, your office supplies. There are so many things that you can't deduct without having that business. I touched on just a couple there, kind of got ahead of myself. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, because these are things that I didn't know, and then you have to keep track of it, right? So
Yes.
you have to keep track of your expenses, and absolutely, like if you have, and this is a situation that a lot of people are actually currently in my world, whereas if you have a job, meaning you generate a W-2 at the end of the year, you typically work those hours, and then the government takes their money already, and then you're left with the rest, right? So you have all of the Medicaid, Medicare, you have the self-employment, not the self-employment taxes, but on
Social
W-2, what do
Security,
they take out? Social
Social
Security,
Security, Medicare, and
Medicaid,
whatever.
Medicare, and then your federal, and then if you have state, right? They're going to take that
Mhm.
all off the top, and then you're going to be left with the rest. And so to get some of that back, you can offset that with your business that you have. These are things that I wish I would have known, and I didn't know. I was just thinking, well, if I don't have if I'm not making money in my business, then it doesn't matter. I'm not going to be able to take advantage of any of the tax advantages, and that is incorrect. Am I correct on that, Linda? Yeah.
Yes, there
I just
are
want to make sure, 'cause I'm not a
some
licensed professional.
and I do like to I should have done this at the very beginning, do my disclaimer too. Like if I don't have an actual engagement with you, take this for what it's worth. I am a CPA, I'm licensed, but you can't totally say, hey, somebody on the internet said, but everything
Totally.
I'm saying I know is true. But yes, there are rules around it. And so this is where it's to your advantage as a business owner to know what those rules are. There's such a thing called a hobby loss. So the IRS is not going to want you to take, you can take a loss on your personal tax return, yes, for having more expenses than you have income coming in. But you don't want to do that year after year after year, or they're going to say, I don't think you're really trying to run a business. You're just doing this as a hobby. And so I like to bring that up. Yes, you can take deductions, and it really is advantageous. I'm not saying go quit your W-2 job. You can have a W-2, have this additional, side income, whether it's network marketing, whether it's I don't know, right now, there's a million side hustle type opportunities out there.
See, network marketing, Amazon affiliate marketing, all these are 1099 income sources, right?
Right.
So yeah. And so how many years, Linda, I'm curious, how many years, or is it defined? I know, because there's so many gray areas in the tax code, but like, is it defined how many years you can take a loss, like basically write off more than what you're earning in your business before they say, we shouldn't be doing this anymore?
It should be no more than 3 out of 5 years that you are showing a
Pretty
loss.
good. So the government gives you 3 years to get your business in a profitable state, but you can use all of the expenses if you had a W-2 to offset some of those taxes that you're already paying working so hard in your job. I love that.
There is
And
one caveat. Can I say that?
oh yeah,
Um,
my yes,
until you make, some sort of income, you can't take all of those losses because they're considered startup expenses. So you do want to have had a sale before you start deducting
perfect.
all the
Yeah.
expenses.
So by the way, if you have your own business, like hustle your little tushy off, use some of the training I give you and make some money. That's not the goal. The goal is not to operate at a loss every year in your business at all whatsoever. But these are just pieces of information that are really important, especially like if you're in network marketing. I used to do this, but I don't know why I stopped doing this, but when I was talking to a prospect that was a W-2, I would talk about and say, hey, by the way, you should consider looking into having your own business of some sort, even if it's a side business, something part time you work in the weekends or the evenings, because it can allot you a lot of tax benefits. And you might want to look into that. I'm not giving tax advice, I always say, but just look into that, ask a licensed professional. You could be getting a lot of that money back, or at least some of that money back every single paycheck that you're paying out at the end of the year to offset some of those. And then on the side, definitely build a side income that can help you. It's always nice having a multiple streams of income, a plan B, a plan C, what have you. So how do people keep track of this? Because I know that my audience is like OCD. They're very like organized. I'm just kidding. Some of you guys are, some of you guys aren't. How do you keep track of this? And what do you typically recommend for somebody getting started? And I know you have a really good crash course for this that I want to share with people. So if you guys are digging this information and you want to put more, money back into your pocket, or you want to be tax optimized, is what I like to say. I'm going to leave this link for you guys. And I highly recommend that you go and check it out. So Linda's got a little it's like a mini crash course, you guys, super easy to go through, but it's going to give you all the basics. She's going to teach you how to be organized, some of the things, the categories and things. So I'll leave that on the screen, or you can go to tanyaaliza.com/taxes. I know, like I should say like unsexy taxes, but no, taxes. I hate taxes so much, but taxes. But what are some of the ways that you recommend that somebody does keep organized if they're just starting out and they don't want to add another thing and get all exhausted? But what do you recommend?
So the very first thing and the easiest thing that I like to tell people is set up a separate bank account that's
Ooh, I like it.
for your business, because even if you're not using software and you're not keeping up with it all the time, which I recommend, but that's going to make your life easier just as it is, because 2 reasons. One, it shows the IRS that you really are treating it like a business, and that are starting it with the intent to make money. So that gives you that first advantage. The second is that all your income, all your expenses go out of that one account. You're not trying to go through 4 different bank accounts and different credit cards, because I can guarantee you'll miss deductions if you're just operating out of your family bank account. And so sometimes that means, if you go to an office supply store or even Costco, I know I do this sometimes. It's like, if I have something for my business, I run it two different things, and they'll do it. They see it all the time, but I'll do a personal transaction and then do a business. And that's the very, very, very easiest way to just keep things simplified, because then when it does come tax time, you can have everything all in one place. I do like to take it a step further than that, because I feel like, again, if you're running it as a business, you want to be able to see your numbers. So the next step would maybe be a profit and loss statement that's just a template as an Excel, something, where you can just put in everything you've made for the month, show your expenses, but you can see your numbers. To me, it's really hard to make decisions about your business. It's really hard to make, do I have the money to invest in this course or program? You can't set goals if you don't know what your numbers are. And so that to me is the next step. If you're ready for more than that, then you look at a software. And in that crash course, I do actually walk through how to set up QuickBooks, is the one that I show, and how to get it connected to your bank accounts and really make your life easy.
I will say this. So I love QuickBooks so much. And I think that, if you have ambitions for a real business, and this isn't just a thing that is like this is like something you're like, for sure, like, this is going to be my business, I'm going to make money with this thing, you absolutely should consider QuickBooks. And I love it. And we have a lot of the business books now done by a bookkeeper, but for the longest time in the beginning of my business, I actually did it myself. And I love the fact that you have it in the mini course, in the crash course, you have a walkthrough of it. So for anybody that wants to get it set up and connected to your bank account, basically it just brings in all the transactions, and then you categorize it, or you can even set automation rules where it auto categorizes on itself on autopilot. You know me, I love autopilot and leverage type stuff. But you can really see what this did for me is it let me see on a monthly basis. I would just set myself a little task, go in and look at the categories, look at the expenses, look at the income coming in, and categorize everything. I got a real feel for what was going on in my business. And as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you guys, it's very, very important to have that perspective. I've been to many high level masterminds. And one of the things, as they say, as a business owner, if you're not looking at the money you're making, the money that's going out, example, your profit and loss statement, you're not a CEO, you're not a business. You can't operate your business like that for many years, right? So I highly recommend, like, I don't recommend making it complicated. Just make it really simple. Like, go through and have Linda walk you through setting up your QuickBook Online account. It's like, I don't know, how much is it per month to have a QuickBooks Online account, like the basic one that people mostly need?
The basic one, I will do. There is one called a Simple Start, or no, sorry, there's a
Essentials.
the essential. Well, there's Simple Start is the one that should do everything that you need. There's one that really isn't QuickBooks, and so I don't recommend that. It should be $30 a month. I actually have a link on my website if you do want to sign up that gets you better pricing than you're even going to get through QuickBooks. So that's the option there too. But there's different levels depending on what you need. If you have employees, if you have if you need to do, I won't get into all of it, but Simple Start should do what you need, and it's $30 a month after you have the trial period, discount period.
I had the basic one, you guys. Like, when I first got started, I mean, we didn't have any employees in the beginning, none of that. It was just like, I had the basic one, and I didn't have to keep track of anything on a spreadsheet, which I loved. And I could have it all just kind of get automated and stuff. So I had to pay a lot of money to learn this. And now you have it, put together by Linda. She can walk you through it. And then, yeah, go through and just pick out whichever one works best for you. But I'm a big believer of QuickBooks Online. I love it. I love it, because then what you can do, this is the empowering part, is you go to your person that files your taxes every year, or maybe you're the type that files your own, but whatever the case might be, you just have everything right there in QuickBooks and you give it to them, and they're not having to search for anything, meaning you're saving their time, which means you're saving money, and you're able to look at your business in quarterly stints so that you can make decisions in your business on what are you going to do. Tax planning decisions, business planning decisions. What are you going to invest in? What can you invest in? What can't you invest in? Things like that for your business. So if you have a tool like this, it gives you a 30,000 foot view snapshot immediately like this. So I don't know. I'm a geek and I love my QuickBooks Online account. I even have a QuickBooks account for my personal,
Mhm.
and that's might be weird to some of you guys, but I want to see how much am I spending on groceries? How much am I spending on personal shopping? How much am I spending on my dog Loya because she's ridiculously spoiled? And this helps me budget, which is really cool. So I'm a QuickBooks Online lover. I think everybody needs to use it. And now when anybody comes to me, Linda, and says, "Hey, how do you keep track of this?" or "What do you recommend for booking?" I'm like, go to Linda's course, TanyaAliza.com/taxes. It's a crash course. Learn this stuff. You'll thank me later. That's what I'm going to say.
Exactly. No, and I know I'm a nerd too. Like when we first got married, I literally spent 3 days trying to get my bank account to reconcile to the penny. My husband makes fun of me all the time because we were traveling somewhere and he's like, "What was that restaurant we went to?" I'm like, "Let me pull up QuickBooks." And then I pulled it up from that trip and that was where we went. Like, anyway, yes, it provides a lot of information. Peace of mind is the biggest thing that I find too, just knowing that you have accounted for everything. And anyway, I love it too. I think it's
Well, also
great.
another thing that people might not think about, I'll just share my personal experience, is when I didn't have a good organizational tool for business expenses and keeping track of my records and receipts and stuff like QuickBooks. I was at a point in the business where we started to make some money, and I was like, okay, shoot, I really need to go and try to find somebody that is good at filing my taxes. I need a good tax preparer and CPA. And I remember going out and interviewing a few of them when I lived in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I had a few meetings, and the meetings, one of the questions is what do you use to keep track of your books? And I didn't have anything at the time. And you know what happened, Linda? I wasn't able to work with some of the best CPAs there because they didn't want to work with me because I didn't have my books in order. Another thing that happened was I found a house that I really, really loved, and the business was making some money. I knew I could afford the mortgage payment, but the bank would not look at me.
Because you
And so
didn't
what I
have
ended up doing is I had to
financials.
scramble, and God bless the soul. What was her name? I cannot remember her name. I should remember her name. But anyway, she worked for this bookkeeping agency in Wilmington. And I went to her and I basically offloaded everything to her. And I was like, can you help me? I have this deal on the table for a house. I have no books. I have no P&L. I need to give them something. The business is making money. Can you help me? And she looked at me and she was like, she had a little like drop of sweat coming down. And she's like, I'll do what I can. I don't remember her name. Lauren. Her name was Lauren. That was her name. And I said, well, do what you can for me. Well, you want to know what? She ended up making it happen. But because of her time and my disorganization,
It
it
costs
cost
you a
me
lot.
a lot of money. And she earned every darn penny of it, but it cost me a lot of money to backtrack all that. So, anyways, I share this to say, like, it can be one of the best things that you do right now, even when you don't feel that you really need it. You just start a little bit learning about it because it can set you up for when you do need it, i.e., with
Mhm.
loans and mortgages, and also being able to work with some really good professionals in the world of taxes and accounting and financial planning and wealth building. So, anyways, I share those because they're burned in here because they were such traumatic moments of me not having my stuff together
I
that
was gonna say,
I
you have 2 points that I touch on that you
yeah,
brought up? The
yeah.
first one is, as you mentioned, you're not in a business to take all these deductions and lose money. So keep that in mind. If you are self-employed, to go get a car loan or a bank loan, a house loan, they need a financial statement. And so you do not need that balance. Like, yes, you want to maximize your tax deductions, but you also want to show profit ideally. And, yes, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get there, but that's the
Yeah.
first point. And then the
And
second one is, yes, if you were to go through this course and do what I show you, because I also talk about how to be ready with the home office expenses and auto expenses and what you should be keeping track of. Like, I put this together because I've been doing taxes for so long. These are like, if my clients come with all of this as it's put together in this, I'm like, thank you. And then, yes, much more willing to work with you. And it does end up costing you, like sometimes people, it's the phrase penny wise, pound foolish. So sometimes people think, oh, I'm just going to save money right now. But a lot of times it ends up costing more later because you have to go back and, like you said, get things corrected or create in the first place. So.
yeah. And I would say, you guys, like, based on my personal experience, like, there are some big things that you want to make sure that you're keeping track of and what you're spending your money on, right? So any of your equipment that you use for your business, your phone, your cameras, your computers, your lighting equipment, your microphones, portion of the car that you drive, if you're going to go and see prospects or clients or teammates or employees or anything like that. I even had this fun conversation with my current CPA, and I was like, hey, I was like, how much of my house can I like write off? I was like, because I do video in every room except for like maybe my bedroom. Like, we legitimately argue that I like can write off this whole house. And we had conversation about like how to get really creative about that. So these are things like you need to be prepared of. Oh, I have a really good question, Linda. When somebody is going to work with their CPA, what questions as a small business owner and entrepreneur should they be asking their CPA to make sure that their CPA is getting them the most benefit of what's available to them? Are there some good questions?
Well, first of all, I feel like it's your responsibility as a business owner to understand this, because I know there are a lot of tax preparers out there who will just take whatever numbers you give them and that's how they'll file your tax return. So it's to your advantage to be one step ahead of them even and know what some of these are. So, we've brought up a lot of them. But here's one, like medical expenses. When you're self-employed, did you know that if you're 100% self-employed, your health insurance is 100% deductible? So that's a big one. Now, again, there's rules if you are a W-2 and self-employed, but things like that. Okay, do I have any breaks on my medical expenses? Because there's things called a health reimbursement arrangement, and you can end up setting plans up to help offset the medical. Retirement plans when you're self-employed that aren't available to you as a W-2 employee that are that much better. You can actually contribute more. So you should be asking about retirement plans, health insurance, all those other expenses that you already mentioned, like the auto and home office and office equipment. If you're paying a Zoom fee, if you're paying these courses, anything that you're purchasing, that's a tax deduction. The list goes on and on. I actually have a free guide that lists all those deductions that are available to you. So you can catch that also.
Cool. And so then there's like events, traps, portions of your
Oh, yes.
travel, events, masterminds. I mean, all of the things you get available to you is amazing.
Yeah,
And
please,
the
I
thing that
didn't
I
mention
love,
that travel is huge. Yes. And there's
and
rules around it. Sorry to cut you off, but
no,
there's
yeah,
rules to make it deductible versus not. And so you need to know that. Like, okay, this is just a quick thing. If you go to a conference that happens to be over a weekend, let's say conference happens to be Friday and Monday, and you're there over the weekend, you can have personal time for the weekend as long as you've got business on both bookends, then the entire trip becomes tax deductible. There's just little nuances like that so many people don't know, but as soon as it's a business purpose, if you're going for a convention, yes, it's your airfare, your hotel, your meal, an Uber, even dry cleaning. Yes.
that's awesome. Yeah, no, I love that. And obviously, that's why I love network marketing, is because you can have all of these teammates that you work with, that you coach, and you can have meals with them, and you can have coaching trainings with them, and you can hang out with them, and you're talking business, and it's all legitimately a business event, right? So and then also too, something to think about. This is also why I love the idea of everyone having a side business of their own, network marketing, whatever, is the way that you pay your taxes is completely different, right? So when you're in a W-2, like we said in the beginning, the taxes are coming off before you get anything in your bank account. When you're your own business, you don't pay the tax until you have the expenses come out first, and whatever's left over from that is what you are paying the taxes on, um, respectively, and wherever you're at. But so you actually can make your money that you're working very hard for work harder for you. That's why I really don't have a problem with investing in courses and trainings and things like that to up my value, is because I know, hey, this is going to be an investment in the business, it's going to be an investment in me, and it's also going to be an allowable tax deduction for the company. So, there's a lot that you really, really can do. One of the questions that I'm seeing people ask, and this is a really good question, and Linda, if you're qualified to answer, please do. People are asking if they should start an LLC, or what you recommend when they have a network marketing business or they have a side gig that they're running. I think it's a really good question.
I actually love to talk about this topic. And
Linda's so busy over there, phone just keeps ringing off the
I
hook. How
apologize.
popular she is. It's a work day for her, by the way.
We had the tech issues, and this was the side. Anyway, we're here. When you're first getting started, you can be what's called a Schedule C. It's just going to be an extra form on your personal tax return. The LLC, I see people online all the time. Everybody's like, you need an LLC, go get an LLC. What people don't understand is that an LLC does not change your tax situation. It limits your liability. And so if you have a business where there's any chance of liability, let's say, even if you have a rental property, absolutely you want an LLC, because you're going to have tenants in there that who knows what can happen. Even if your kids are running a lawn mowing business, there's potentially some risk there that they could do some damage or do something. And so the LLC, I highly recommend if there is any sort of legal implication that could come from running your business. Right off the top, network marketing, I don't see as a whole lot of risk. However, my personal entity type of choice is an LLC that you can elect to be taxed as an S corporation. And this may get a little more involved than some of you are ready for. Some of you are like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to know. Because being self-employed, like Tanya said, you are paying taxes yourself, that Social Security and Medicare. There is what's called a self-employment tax on your net income. So whatever's left over after you take your income and take off all of your tax deductible expenses, that's what you're going to be paying self-employment tax and federal and state income tax on. There are ways to minimize that self-employment tax. So it's not a one-size-fits all. You'll see people online too say, you have to do an S corporation. And I really like to look at everybody's situation, because there's a lot of variables, and it really kind of depends on what your income level is, what your liability is, to determine what the best entity is.
Would you say, like, for a network marketer, so this is my way of thinking, and I just want to know if it's correct. For a network marketer, or even a business owner that doesn't have a liability risk business, okay? Would you say that when they're making more money than what they're spending in personal expenses, living costs, et cetera, then maybe that would be a good mile marker for them to consider an LLC, because they can keep the excess of money in the business, and therefore not be subject to maybe self-employment tax on that extra money. They can keep it working in the business for them. Would you say that might be a good strategy for them, or an idea?
An LLC is actually what's called a flow-through entity. So all the money from that business, whether you take it out to your personal account or not, is actually still going to flow through to your individual return.
But if it was filed as an S corp,
as an S corporation, so kind of the sweet spot for me is if you're profiting, after your expenses, 30 to 40,000, right around in there is when that really makes the most sense. Because
Perfect.
there are extra expenses for filing a separate tax return. And then you also have to pay yourself a payroll. And so you've got payroll tax expenses, and that's why I say you have to make sure that it makes sense. That sweet spot's kind of that $30,000 to $40,000 net income is when it really makes sense. Now, an
Perfect.
LLC, like I said, is good from a liability standpoint, and you can create an LLC and elect to have that S corporation happen later. So that's something I do like to recommend, because if you're a single member LLC, it actually still gets filed on your individual tax return as well. It's not a separate tax return.
This is correct. Yes. Okay, great. Yeah. So another reason why it's important to have a tax professional on your side, but then you need to know how to ask that right question. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Tax Professional, when do you think it would be a good idea, if necessary, to have an LLC in place? And then they'll be able to look at your personal situation, type of business, income, et cetera, and then be able to help you with that. And I love, Linda, that you said, like, it's important. You do see a lot of people online. They're like, you have to have an LLC, you have to have an LLC. And I think, like you said, it's very individual specific. You need to have somebody that you say, hey, do I need this? Because you have additional costs that go with having these entities in place. Depending on the state, you have to file annual reports that could be a few $100s a year. And then you have your tax return. And depending on your tax filer, they might charge per hour to file that. Even if it's making no money, you're still going to have to pay to file it, and you're still going to have to file it. So they might charge hourly, or they might charge per return. It depends. So you need to be aware of those costs and what's actually necessary, right? So that's a really good point. I love
Exactly.
that you said that. And you guys, even more of a reason to get connected to somebody who you can ask the right questions to, and you can educate yourself on it. Thank you, Linda, for allowing me to share your crash course with my people. When I saw it, I was like, my people need this. Like, I need to have this a part of my arsenal. I need to be able to share it with them. Can I have you on? And so we were able to make this happen for you guys. And I'm able to bring you somebody that can talk from a legal standpoint to you about taxes and bookkeeping and that, because it's so passionate. I want to talk about it, but I also I can just share my personal experience with you guys. I cannot give tax advice. I cannot give, I'm not legally able to, and I don't want to get in trouble doing that. But it's so freaking important for your business and for your family and for your life and for your wealth building strategy, because I know
Exactly.
you're working hard to earn this money. Keep it working in your business as much as possible. Is there any other questions that people come to you and ask you about, that you're like, okay, this is something that a lot of people have question on. I need to make sure we address this.
I did see a couple of these questions last week when we had the trouble getting on, but about audit. A lot of people are scared of an IRS audit. And that is one reason that you do want to consider an LLC. Schedule C, if you're showing more expenses than income on a Schedule C, that's one of the first places. It's kind of like low-hanging fruit that the IRS is going to have. Doesn't mean you're automatically going to get audited, but it is one that they can look at easier, if that makes sense. So the other thing that I like to tell people is an audit, if you have your records in place and you're keeping your documentation and you have things in order, it's nothing to be afraid of. Yes, it's going to be a big nuisance and nobody wants to deal with it, but these expenses are legitimate. They're in place for you as a business owner. So don't not take expenses that are legitimately allowed for you to take just because you're afraid of an audit. So that's one thing I see all the time, is people saying, oh, I don't want to take this, I don't want to take that, because I don't want to flag an audit. But my opinion is, it's your business, it's your role to maximize what you're keeping. So
Yeah, and it's just flipping also on a bigger, more higher level note. I just have to say this with my audience is, you got to be operating from an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. So thinking that way, you're operating in a scarcity mindset realm. And that would be a challenge that I would give you, is flip flip that switch and think from abundance mentality. Also, the more you think about an audit, the more you'll attract it. So don't even think about it.
And the
Because
other
of the
thing with
law of
that,
attraction.
yeah, that's very, very true. And along with that, I feel like people put off filing their taxes. They'll say, "Oh, I'm going to extend," and then really they don't do anything until today actually is the filing deadline for 2020.
How
Two.
appropriate of a time. Yeah,
I know
exactly.
it is. But I hear that all the time, that the weight that weighs on people just hanging over them instead of just doing it and getting it done and knowing it's taken care of, because really it's not going to be fun at any point. But just if you can get everything ready and file in April, you just have, I mean, I know sometimes things happen. Sometimes tax preparers have to extend because they have to spread out their workload, and that happens too. But just from your standpoint, again, I think it's an energy standpoint. I actually helped somebody this last weekend who was like, "Oh my gosh, I slept so much better this weekend knowing it was taken care of," where it's probably been weighing on her for, months and months, instead of just getting it taken care of. So be organized, treat it like a business, maximize your deductions, and it allows you to put your energy where your energy should be spent, on growing your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Linda, for coming out. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate all the hard work that you did put into creating the crash course for people, for entrepreneurs, and for us to get better organized, get better positioned to be able to take all of the deductions and all the benefits that are available to us that the government does give us as business owners to utilize to help us. They're given to us by them. It's just up to us to utilize what they give us. And so it's asking better questions. It's making sure your record keeping is in place and putting yourself in a situation to win. Hopefully our stories and our experience and our thought leadership has helped you kind of prepare you for this. And if you need anything else, just reach out. You can go over to tanyaaliza.com/taxes. That'll take you to Linda's crash course. And there's also a place to reach out to Linda on that page there if you need anything, or if you have any questions at all. She's a servant soul. I've been back and forth with her text messaging over the last few weeks, and we've been creating a great relationship and having a lot of fun. So we appreciate you guys, and hopefully this was helpful. Linda, any final words before we wrap?
I just appreciate you so much for allowing me to do this. Like I say, I've been so passionate about it lately. Being an entrepreneur for so long, I love to just be able to help other people see the advantages of having your business and helping you create the life of your dreams. So thank
Uh,
you so much.
Thanks, Linda. Well, we appreciate having you. Thank you to everybody who's joined in. Thanks for your patience while we fixed our tech gremlins from last week. Hopefully, you found value. And if you did, make sure to share this with anybody that you feel would find value in it as well or needs this information. We hope that it truly helps. Have an amazing, profitable, and productive week. And we will see you next week on the Tuesday with Tanya live show. We'll see you guys soon.